Hello and welcome to the new video. Today we're going to take a look at a very strong team for the Sunshine Cup. We're going to have a team here around the Shadow Blaziken, where you can also use the normal variant for it if you don't have the Shadow variant, but this team itself is so strong. I actually climbed up to 2,834 rating with this team right now, which is really high up. It's somewhere on like higher page as well for the leaderboards, which is kind of cool. So definitely a strong team. Went 10-5 with this team, which is really cool as well. And it's a fairly simple team to use as well. So like a lot of people should be able to use this one and have great success with it. It's not something that's crazy spicy. It's not something that's like crazy scientifically proven where you have to play like a certain way or whatever. It's a really simple, straightforward team. There is not really a lot of skill involved here, but we're gonna still talk a little bit about how you really want to run this. Also, we're running here the Shadow variant with the move Stone Edge. Stone Edge is not required, but if you can have it, it's definitely decent. If you don't have it, it's fine. Go for Brave Bird, or even in this meta, you can even go for the Blast Burn if you want to. It does not really matter too much. Like, somewhat of the nuke move here, like go for Blast Burn, go for Brave Bird, go for Stone Edge. All of them are totally fine. I went for Stone Edge just because it's funnier, but all of them are fine. Stone Edge is preferred though, but it literally doesn't matter. Like, you're going to one-shot most likely 90% of the meta with a Brave Bird as well, or with a Blast Burn, so it does not matter at all. Don't really worry too much about that. Just play the Blaziken if you can. Here, otherwise, towards the team, we're going to have the Pidgeot in the lead, which is of course a very good lead in the current meta. Also a little bit of a very predictable lead though, so a lot of people are going to have some counters for that in the lead as well. Then we're going to have as a say swap the Vigoroth, which is going to be able to get a lot of times switch advantage, but also just going to pressure all the shields from the opponent. As you can see as well against this Girafarig, we were able to get a shield advantage, as well as we're going to still be able to go for another Body Slam and gonna get this switch advantage, allowing us to have now shield plus switch advantage to get into our Blaziken. Here I try to catch the move, which doesn't matter at all because I can just let this move go through, but Blaziken is going to have a great time here now. As I even get to another fast move, I'm going to be able to just go for the counter down, most likely shielding up this move. It's going to be the Wild Charge, and like this is going to be game, as we can farm them all the way down. This team is so simple that it's so simple to run. When you have a bad lead, you swap out into your Vigoroth, and there is nothing that can swap into a Vigoroth, which is really bad. Like, the worst is going to be Gligar or like Gliscor. Both of them are going to be fairly common. I guess there's also sometimes something like a spicier ghost type Pokemon, which are also somewhere like running around for whatever reason. For example, I encountered a Palossand. I think I encountered some other ghost types as well. That's like basically the worst possible answers for the Vigoroth, but otherwise you're going to be totally fine here. As we can see, we will be able to just go ahead and get switch advantage back, going to be able to align our Pokemon. Victini is in the back, and what you want to do with this team is you kind of want to keep 2 shields, or like 1 shield at least, alive for the Blaziken in the back. Blaziken, especially the Shadow variant, has an insane fast move pressure, and you're going to see it here as well. The opponent just going to use no shields for whatever reason, but counter from a Shadow Blaziken is so hard hitting. It's absolutely wild. The Victini cannot do anything about it either, and we can win this next game as well. As I can move on to the next one, we're going to have a Gligar in the lead, which is amazing for us. It's exactly the perfect matchup for us, because this kind of means that Blaziken is going to be fairly free in the back. Like, there's not really a reason for them to have something else in the back that's going to hard counter us, I would imagine at least. And we can just go for the Feather Dance, getting them low here into the Body Slam range already from our Vigoroth, which is really nice. As well as we can still go for a Brave Bird, so we can guarantee a shield advantage here, or like the switch advantage, and both of them is fine. Here we're going to get switch, which is totally okay for me, as I can swap out. In comes the Miltank, a Pokemon that I would say is highly overrated in the current meta. I saw a lot of people like praising this Pokemon too much. I don't know really what it's supposed to do. Yes, it's going to be a little bit better against, I guess, some flying type Pokemon, but I wouldn't use it as a say so. I would use it like in the back to counter something like a Gligar or something like that. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm going to take a look at Miltank eventually as well, just to see if I'm wrong. But right now, I would not really recommend you to try this Pokemon out unless you're going to use it as a closer or as a lead. But I wouldn't use it as a say swap like the person did here. Let's take a look at the next opponent coming up. We're going to have the Pidgeot against a Steelix. Horrible lead force. What do? We swap into our Vigoroth. Straightforward here, we're going to get out the Palossand, which is exactly what I kind of mean. There are some very random Pokemon running around here, which is absolutely wild. And they're running Earth Power, which is actually a downside from them. Like, this is not what you're supposed to do. Run Scorching Sand. Scorching Sand can two-shot a Vigoroth. Well, this is also two-shotting, of course, but takes more energy. And like this, we can still go for another charge move here. Bulldoze coming through, and they're going to let this move go through and survive with 1 HP. But I can realign, and I'd rather take a realignment here than, yeah, keeping up with it all, because I can now just put in my Blaziken against the opponent's Steelix, allowing me to get some damage onto them, and also realign. Of course, we are now 2 shields down, which is going to be awkward, as we are going to go for a Blaze Kick here. But I'm going to try to catch a move onto my Pidgeot. Let's see if this is going to work out well for us. It does work out very well. And so the Steelix is kind of in a range where I can just farm down with my Blaziken, and they're going to decide to swap out into the Abound now. I go ahead and go for the wrong move here. It is so annoying because they're actually going to let this move go through. If I went for the Brave Bird, I would have won this game here at this point. But like this, my opponent was able to get enough energy to get to 2 charge moves, and sadly, Blaziken is an ultimate glass cannon here, but it is not going to be able to survive even a double debuffed resisted Weather Ball from this range, which is kinda wild, but kinda not too surprised because it's a really squishy Pokemon. In comes here a Ninetales. Honestly, I should have been swapping out earlier already into my Blaziken at this point, because Ninetales, with especially the fast move here of Fire Spin, is not really the greatest Pokemon to play against like a Blaziken, because Blaziken resists the fast move, as well as you're going to have Stone Edge here for my one, which again is a legacy move. You don't need it, but definitely cool. But here we're gonna get out the opponent's Vigoroth, which is going to be fine for me, as I can just swap out into my own Blaziken, try to go for the full farm down, as I will be able to use a shield here, but I have now a ton of energy stored, which is going to come in clutch against the Gligar eventually, but they're going to have a shield advantage here, and this is going to be a tough one to still come back from. They're going to go for the Aerial Ace, which is fine for me, because I can go for the Body Slam spam, but as you're going to see here, they're of course going to still be able to survive that one. If they were Shadow, I'm fairly certain I had a better matchup, because I would have got them lower, but it's looking really tough for me. I tried to see Pita here, did not work out at all. And I can still go for the Body Slam, but they're going to use a shield and farm me all the way down. This game is basically over unless my opponent misplays completely, which they do. Like, why do they swap into their Vigoroth? Why do they go for a charge move here instead of trying to farm me down? We will never find any, answer to our questions, as we're going to be able to go for another Blaze Kick, and this Blaze Kick is going to be all it takes to knock them out. And again, Blaziken is going to clean up this endgame very nicely here, as we can move on to the next opponent. This was something that really surprised me, but Watergun Wishcase is actually an interesting play. Like, this Pokemon has some potential. Watergun is of course a move that at least going to hit like flying type Pokemon for neutral, or like super effective against, for example, the Gligar, which is kind of nice. So it's actually an interesting play. Don't know if it's that strong, to be fair. But maybe, maybe it's a decent one, I don't know. We're going to see here, though, more spice in the back, which is going to be, of course, the Gourgeist here, which I think Body Slam is a better move to go for compared to the other one, so yeah, kind of awkward. Awkward thing about Gourgeist as well is that they learn Foul Play, which is going to be neutral against me. I tried to go for the full farm down, I should have went for the charge move here, but they're going to be able to still get to another move, which is going to be just the Seed Bomb, but it's not looking too crazy for us, as we can see that the opponent is going to swap into their Wishcase again. I will be able to go for my charge move, which is going to be the Feather Dance, going to get the shield, but luckily we're actually going to be able to farm them all the way down, and they're going to swap out into the Tropius. But again, I should have not went for this move. I should have went for my Brave Bird, because like this, the opponent is going to be able to just go for the Aerial Aces, and I don't think I'm going to survive it, even though they're double debuffed. You see already the damage of Air Slash, and we see the Aerial Ace coming through. I can go for one Blaze Kick, and they should have a move here, right? They don't, and I don't know why. I think they should have definitely had one already. But we are able to just go for the knockout here and knock out the opponent's Tropius. So that's great. You know what's also great? Pidgeot, who are this Pidgeot? We're going to see here, same CP, and it comes down who wins this Team Pita here. I'm just going to go for the Brave Bird, going to blindly throw that, and they decide to go for the Brave Bird as well. It's a guessing game. It's literally a guessing game. If they go for the shield here, it would be nice for me, but they, okay, not for the shield, I mean. But we are actually both having a rank 1 variant. Like, I know this player, very cool player as well. I battled them before, I think, in a video as well, and I also lost against them. They're very close. But here, as you might see already, they have same lead, they have a similar Pokemon in the back there, and of course, they are running the exact same team that I do, but because they won the lead basically in this matchup and were able to realign, they're going to be able to realign also the Pidgeot against my Blaziken, which is kind of awkward because this Blaze Kick is not going to knock them out, and now I'm too low for the Vigoroth in the back, so they had the exact same team idea than I had, but yeah, this is definitely a very solid team, but here they were just a little bit luckier with winning this first matchup in the lead, which of course always can decide a lot of things during this matchup. Next opponent, we're going to see a Rufflet coming in. Funny Pokemon, but I decided to go for an interesting play as well. I'm going to go for the Feather Dance because I think the opponent expects me to go for a Brave Bird, and this works out super well because now I can just go into my Vigoroth and I make an interesting play. I'm not sure if this is the correct play. I'm going to not go for the Body Slam and I decide to go for the Shield and for the full Farm Down because there is nothing that can really swap in the current meta other than like, yeah, I don't know, like the Gorgas that we saw before against like the Vigoroth, which is really cool here. We're going to see actually the Eternal Flame where I could have played this a little bit better and went for 2 counters instead of 1, which of course I can now do because you can always fit 2 counters in 1 Incinerate without having to waste a turn, which is really cool as you can see here that I can just spam those Body Slams against the opponent. This is exactly why I went for the Shield instead, just getting all the damage onto the opponent while even getting the Shield there, which is really nice. And now it's Blaziken time and the opponent knows that as well as they're going to decide to forfeit. Next opponent coming up, we're going to have the Swampert in the lead. This is going to be, of course, a little bit of a trickier one for Blaziken in the back, but honestly, in the 2-shell scenario, I think even like from equal energy, you're going to be able to win this as the Blaziken because Counter is just doing so much damage against most Pokemon in the meta. Sadly, we were swapping out at the exact same time. I would rather have here, of course, my Blaziken against the opponent's Sheep Boy. But yeah, this was a simultaneously swap, which is kind of awkward for us because now we are going to be able to still knock them out, but we are not in the best position yet as they have still their Swampert around. We are very low on our Pidgeot and they're going to have, of course, the Vigoroth in the back, which we're going to be able to retaliate here most likely with. This is definitely not the Pokemon I should have went into, most likely here. I should have went into my other boy, into my, what's it called? Blaziken instead, which would have been better off. Because the opponent didn't have that much energy, I think I would have been definitely better off here. But sadly, now my opponent is going to be able to go for 2 Hydro Cannons, which kind of seals the deal here, as this is going to get the knockout against our Blaziken. And so we're going to go down here, but I feel like this was also a game that was kind of winnable if I played it better, but this was down on me not playing this move correctly there. So let's take a look at the next opponent. We're going to see the Pidgeot against the Steelix again. Horrible lead for us, but we can swap out immediately into our Vigoroth, which is going to get greeted by the Blaziken. If you get 2 fast moves in here with your Vigoroth, you should theoretically at least survive the counters from the Blaziken, which we do perfectly here with 1 HP. But I think it's actually 2 HP, so I'm going to use a shield here, which will allow me to just go ahead and go for the charge move. Body Slam comes through, going to get them fairly low, and I decide, like, I wasn't sure what I want to go into. I decide to go into my Blaziken, but sadly I still get to another charge move, but I'm still going to be up with 3 counter in terms of energy, but we're going to now see the Vigoroth coming in, and they decide to swap again at the exact same time as I swap out. And this is not really looking too good for us. If we just stayed in and went for the charge move, we would have been so much better off, but sadly the opponent, I guess, thought that I would go for a Brave Bird or for a Stone Edge, which would have been a smart play for the Steelix, but I didn't, and like this, it's going to be a tough one to still come back from. We're going to see the Breaking Swipe coming through. Of course, we do basically 1 damage each turn, which is not really ideal, but I can still go for another Breaking Swipe just to turn down the switch clock here, to be fair, which is still a little bit awkward as I can still get an extra fast move in. But as you're going to see, I'm going to try to swap out here, and they're going to swap at the same time. Is this enough to knock out a Vigoroth? Oh, it is, which is kind of nice. And I can still try to reach a Blaziken, and I can. And this is going to get the knockout again, showing how strong Blaziken is in the current meta, just sweeping through teams, as this is basically the only viable fighter that is also having counter, which is really decent. So yeah, basically that's mainly why we kind of use it. Here, again, horrible lead for us, horrible say swap for us. We're going to have Pylos 1 in the lead and the Gligar in the back. I predicted they go for the Dig here, which would allow them to farm me down afterwards, and I was wrong with that. They go for the Aerial Ace, and now honestly, I should have most likely went for a shield for the next one, because Blaziken also, if shields are down, Blaziken is also really nice, and I was just 1 away from this one, and I decided not to do it, which is a mistake, because now they're going to go for the Dig, which is going to knock me out, and Aerial Ace wouldn't have done that, but I should be able to farm them all the way down with my Pidgeot, which is going to be nice, as I now have a Brave Bird stored. This Brave Bird going to do a ton of damage against Piloswine, which is going to be amazing for me, and now we just have to hope that there's something decent in the bag, and it's going to be a triple ground team, and there is nothing that I can do about it. I have 2 counter units in the back, they have 2 flying type Pokemon in the back. There is literally a hard counter match up here. I can still try to go for the Stone Edge, which does not do anything, and we can now move on into the next game. I actually don't think we have seen the Stone Edge land a single time so far, so that's kind of interesting. As we're going to now have the Gligar against us again in the lead. This is amazing for us. We can even go straight for a Brave Bird if we want to. If we feel a little bit spicy here, we got just gonna go straight for it, and we do exactly that. Trying to get the shield advantage or the switch advantage here, and we're gonna actually get neither of it. We're going to get the damage onto the opponent, and we're gonna get an energy advantage onto our Vigoroth, which is amazing for me because I decided to swap out now into the dub wall. I can still survive a body slam here, which is amazing for me as I can just go for my own body slams. And I know that this is not going to get the knockout yet, but definitely gonna get them super low if they're going to let this move go through, which they don't, which is fine for me. I can let this move go through. They're going to not knock me out. I think they're gonna still get another fast move in, but they're definitely in counter down range for my Blaziken as they decide to go for a charge move, which is going to be the body slam here. I can go for the full knockout and against the opponent, having a ton of energy stored. It's looking good for me. Like, Blaziken is really in a great spot, especially with the Steelix coming in. And honestly, this game, I felt like I had a little bit of lag there, which you're going to see here. Like, it is totally safe for me after this after this charge move from the opponent to go for one more fast move and go for the Blaze Kick. But I guess I clicked to the Blaze Kick a little bit too late, which allowed the opponent to still swap onto the Blaze Kick, which is kind of awkward. But it doesn't matter, as I can still farm them down, but I was kind of annoyed because I could have made this even a little bit easier for myself. Final opponent for today. This is going to be a Noctowl here, which is something that I did not really expect to see too often, just because of the nerf recently, of course, with Sky Attack being a 50 energy move now. This Pokemon kind of disappeared and is not as great as other flying type Pokemon in this meta. I think it's even below Staravia in this ranking, which is kind of wild. So yeah, Noctowl really went away from its former glory, but still does a decent job here as we're going to see the Vigoroth with Vigoroth. My Vigoroth I actually literally just built before the video because I wanted to build a new one, and this basically hits all the bulk and breakpoints that you kind of want to have, at least for the Great League, at least from what I've seen so far. And it's going to win you Team P-Ties, which is amazing for this meta, which is also why I don't really like my own Pidgeot. Here I wanted to swap out actually into my Pidgeot to get more energy, but I was a little bit too fast for that, which is really hurting me now because now the opponent got some energy onto the Noctowl, which was not what I really wanted. Like, honestly, I could have dealt with the Noctowl as well without that, and I will see now the Blaziken coming in, and this time around I don't go for the bait. I go for the Brave Bird, get the knockout, and we can now farm them all the way down, winning this game. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.